Divine Sunder is getting nerfed. Hullbreaker is getting buffed. So who is going to be the most broken top laner in 11-17? What's up, GameLeaper? Oh, the Jizz has returned for another daily upload. Make sure you subscribe for all the action. And in today's video, we will be revealing the 14 best top laners of 11-17 League of Legends. We've got bruisers, and more bruisers. I'm kidding, we have tanks, AP champions, range champions, so to know who to play for free LP, make sure you stick around. So let's get into it, and starting off the countdown at number 14, we have Shen. Reliable, consistent, easy to play, strong in lane, great utility with his ultimate, there really isn't anything not to like. So as you copy down the best runes and core items for Shen, and we'll do this for all of these champions, let me give you a tip that will help you turbo stomp lane and even out those harder matchups. Your passive shield, your key barrier, is the key to winning trades. So if you're looking to taunt your opponent, try to time it when your passive is off cooldown. If you're against a strong early game champion like Darius or Teemo, timing your Q, your Twilight Assault, to proc your shield when going up for CS is a great way to stay healthy while farming. Now, beating Shen to the number 13 spot, this might be unlucky for some, but definitely not for Kayle. And I understand that Kayle isn't as broken as she was in the preseason, but 8 months on, she still packs a ton of power in the mid to late game, and with Strikebreaker as nerfed as it is, Turbo Chem Tank as nerfed as it is, the fact is that top lane is nowhere near as scary as it once was. So navigating your way through the early game is super doable, and once you get to your Nash's 2 spike around level 11, you are free to transcend. But just a quick tip before you do run it down against all the bruisers in the top lane at the moment, in the early game, your Q is everything. If it's too risky to last hit minions, do it with your Q. If your Q is on cooldown, stand back and preserve your HP. If the enemy champion is running towards you, Q them. This will help you get through levels 1 to 5 without inting too much. Now, one champion who doesn't struggle in the first 5 levels is Wukong. And yes, you're losing 5 AD with the new Divine Sunderer, but the passive damage is going to be the same. And Wukong's own passive gives you an absurd amount of armor when dueling enemy champions, meaning that it's pretty much impossible to lose 1v1s. His E that gives you attack speed gives you more DPS and Conqueror stacks, and yeah, 2 ultimates is kind of nice too. Despite the recent nerfs, he is still a very solid top laner, and the tip for Wukong, most players don't realize that your Q gives you an extra 75 range on your auto attack. So one trick is that when you are about to last hit a minion and your opponent runs towards you for a bit of pressure, last hit the minion and then press Q and auto attack that enemy champion immediately. It's impossible to react to, and because you will be at range pretty much, they can't retaliate. Now, after copying a nerf last patch, Tahm Kench has fallen off a little bit, but not enough for us not to have him on this countdown. Your poke and sustain in lane might not be as strong, but your power spike with Frostfire Gauntlet and then with Anathema's Chains is still right up there, but to make the most out of the Kench, landing your Abyssal Dive, your W, is key. So try to use it after you slow your opponent with your Tongue Lash, or you can use it from a lane brush or any area that is in fog. This gives you a much better chance of landing it. But what if you want to counter all of these melee champions? Well, Quinn is the pick. Great harass, kill threat, and once you have stomped your lane, you can easily impress your lead on the rest of the map because of your ultimate. Your rune page and core items are on screen now, and just make sure that when you play Quinn, and this might sound pretty elementary, always have your finger on your E key. The only way you don't win lane is by getting flashed on and ganked, so always be alert and ready to use your fold. Now, beating Quinn to the number 9 spot is another very strong laner, and this is one of the most popular top laners on the Rift. Sett, you have a very strong laning phase, and despite the nerfs to Strikebreaker, Gore Drink has taken over as the go-to mythic. This helps with your DPS, the ability haste is really nice when you are 1v1ing in the late game, and the sustain it gives you helps you immensely in those big team fights. What's also worth noting is the Hullbreaker is getting buffed next patch, so for the same amount of gold, you're getting an extra 100 HP, and this might be worth buying if you just want a split push. Now, when you pick Sett, he's certainly not the hardest champion in the game, but it's important to master your E and W synergy, and we looked at this in our recent top lane guide, which you should check out if you haven't already. So landing your E guarantees your W's true damage to land. So if the enemy champion is already in melee range of you when you start fighting, just hold onto your E and wait until you have stacked enough grit to turn Super Saiyan, and then Haymaker away after using your Face Breaker. Now, if you want a champion who is not just strong in lane, but insane in team fights as well, then picking Kennen in 11-17 is one heck of a shout. He has a very good win rate in high elo and is sometimes banned. He's that low-key broken, and this is for 2 reasons. The buffs to your Q and W in the last few patches, and the magic penetration with Hextech Rock Belt and Sorcerer Shoes. Wit's End is getting nerfed in 11-17 as well, so bruisers like Irelia and Jax will be easier to kill, but it's still not that easy. So the tip for when you lock in Kennen is to play around your Electrical Surge passive stacks. So when you auto attack, you get a stack, and at 4 stacks, your next one is dealing magic damage and applying a Mark of the Storm stack. Lots of stacks, so you can activate your W instantly. So you can auto attack minions until you get these 4 stacks, and then auto attack the enemy champion, and then press W. The damage is not insane, but this will add up and help you win lane a lot more. Now, one champion whose eye would have been on the Hullbreaker buff is coming in at number 7, and this is Kled. The extra 100 HP will empower Titania Hydra and the damage you will be doing as a result, and Kled is one of the few top lane champions who still has a couple of viable mythic items. So if you want damage and sustain, you get Gore Drinker, but if your team already has all the damage in the world and you need some tankiness, you get Sunfire Aegis. But still, still, to play Kled at a high level, first of all, ban Fiora, and second, the moment you skill your W, you get access to its attack speed. So do not skill your violent tendencies until you start punching on with your opponent. This is essential. Now, I understand that Gwen got nerfed a couple of patches ago, but I'm willing to wager that all of you top laners still can't stand playing against her, and that's because she is still very strong. Her DPS, her healing, her untargetability, her kit needs to relax. With Riftmaker and Ashes 2, you're all set, and you can even build an early Bramble Vest or plated steel caps to cuck your AD opponents. But do be sure to ban Tryndamere and to master the art of EQ comboing, so you can land your snips true damage. This is very important as it will maximize your damage output, and this is really what makes Gwen so hard to 1v1. Now we're into the top 5 top laners for 11-17, and the best tank for next patch, who else can it be but Malphite, who is indeed staying rock solid. And do I really need to go into detail here? It doesn't matter what elo you pick Malphite in, you will always have an impact on a game's outcome, and he's even getting banned in high elo at the moment. He's that frustrating to play against, and even if you do beat Malph in lane, so what? Now Malph is very easy to play, but one thing the top players do that lots of others don't is that they use their brutal strikes to reset their auto attack. Your W is one of the most underrated abilities in the game, let alone on Malph, and activating this instantly after auto attacking increases your DPS and trading potential. Now lots of the champions on this list can struggle with the champion boasting the number 4 spot, and this is Irelia. And despite the nerf coming next patch where you will be healing for less from your Blade Surge, that is all that is coming. As I said in yesterday's mid laners video, your true power is staying in 11-17, and against ranged champions and bruisers, you will still pop off. Your mobility and your passive are your biggest strengths, so if you are to be successful in Irelia, you have to make use of both. But one cool trick you can do when you land your flawless duet, your E, is to actually stack your passive on the enemy minions while your opponent is stunned. You have like a second before you really need to Q to your enemy, so why not spend that time blade surging to last hittable minions near you to access your Ionian fervor for the actual fight. Now an even better 1v1er in the top lane for 11-17 is Fiora. And ever since Riot buffed your passives damage earlier in the season, top lane has been Fiora's kingdom. Well, kind of. The recent E nerf didn't help, but in the late game with all your ability haste, who cares? It's barely noticeable. And next patch with Hullbreaker buff, your split push on 1v1 is going to be bonkers. Now I'm sure you have been told that saving your parry for the enemy's engage is important, and yes it is, but when there is zero chance your opponent can fight back because you are hard stomping, then using your W for the slow and attack speed reduction is a great tactic. Don't just think that because it's called parry, you can't use it on the attack. It stops any counterplay regardless if you stun or not. Now another champion similar to Fiora is holding the runner-up spot on this countdown, and despite the Divine Sunderer nerf, do you think players are going to stop picking Camille? No. That's right. The Ignite Teleport, the Sustain with Grasp in the laning phase, the Shield Bash Cheese, the Shen Spike for 5 points and Q damage, it's way easier to make work than it should be, and therefore stupidly busted. Like as soon as I see the enemy Camille on top of my AD carry on the minimap, I know it's over. But if you really want a tip for playing Camille like a pro, a bit like Wukong, your Precision Protocol, both auto attacks give you bonus range. So one trick is to just Q an enemy minion to make it last hittable, and as soon as your true damage Q is about to come off cooldown, walk up to the enemy champion to last hit it, and instantly press Q again and auto attack the enemy champion. It's a very cheeky way of dealing damage while you are relatively weak early on. Just remember to not use your hook shot. You want to save it to escape if the enemy champion does get mad, which they will. But there is one champion better than the rest in 11-17 in the top lane, and for another patch in a row, this has to be Riven. With no nerfs, Divine Sunderer nerfed, Graze nerfed, Irelia nerfed, Gore Drinker being so strong, how can I not put Riven at number 1? And just one quick tip, when you play Riven, your key burst resets minion aggro, so if you are ahead in the lane, you can be hella aggressive and fight your opponent in their own minion wave. Just make sure to use your W towards the end of the combo to stop that creep aggro from killing you. And those are the 14 best top laners for 11-17. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the champions on this countdown? Let the jizz know in the comments. Like the video for the timestamps, and make sure to check out the GameLeap website before you close your browser. The most elite courses and guides you will find anywhere at just one click away. So unhard stuck yourself by signing up. And until tomorrow's upload, this has been the jizz.